because I don't believe Triple H was responsible for the ending of that show. I just don't.
I'm a champion!
Should we talk the main event? Let's do it. Oh, sorry, not the main event, because we've already established.
Night one was the main event.
Yeah. So, Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes put the title on the line against John Cena. John Cena's entrance, loved it.
Yes.
Like
the black and white.
Black, just white text saying John Cena. It's like, we don't deserve a big entrance. Yeah. He's just going to, and in a way, it's kind of what we wanted from him, right? So I love that entrance. Cody Rhodes' entrance, his mask coming up, brilliant.
Yeah.
Giving his family a kiss and a cuddle on the way down, like classic Cody. Like the setup was here. I got the feels. We're like, okay, we're in for a good one.
Crowd was electric. Invested.
It at the start, it felt like one of those big fight feel moments. We knew we were going to get Rock at the end. It was just going to grow into something. And I was like, okay, the show dipped in the middle after such a rip-roaring first few matches. It dipped in the middle, but now we're going to get this wicked ending. And then we got that. So thank you very much. Tune in next week. No.
And we're all happy. So,
before I throw to you, Kev.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so what I just wanted to say, just from an in-ring perspective, what I disliked about this match is that working with Cena, Cody had to really compromise on the quality of his work that he always brings. If you look at Cody's work in all his, like whether it's AEW, whether it's even old Cody Rhodes in WWE, and certainly his title run over the last year, he's done some brilliant in-ring work and is capable of so much. He, like from a storyline perspective, was made to look like a chump, but Cena completely. And his work in ring made him look not like a bad wrestler, but the quality of Cody came right down because he was working with Cena. And now we'll talk about the fans. We'll talk about everything surrounding this hot mess. Kev, let's not go too long, but let's go into it.
If you want to know, for the most part, what I thought about a lot of this, and especially towards the fans, just go back and listen to Cena's promo on Monday Night Raw, because he sort of said it, right? One of the most infuriating things for me, and I can feel myself raging already, one of the most infuriating things to me about wrestling, this thing that I love more than anything in my life, right? I just love wrestling, always have. Is the
more
fans.
than Stacey?
I was going to say
more than Minnie.
And your beautiful
family
Minnie,
out of
and your beautiful Minnie, who's a CM Punk fan, by the way.
Yes, she is. Take family out of it. Like, I just, wrestling has been this thing that we've all loved for most of our lives. And I'm not talking about all fans here, but there is a big section of fans that just ruin it for me. And sometimes, at some certain events, the worst part of the entire show are the fans. And their absolute stupidity that they think is, ooh, me being edgy and I'm cool and I know it's fake, so I'm going to boo the baby face and cheer for the heel. Now, before anyone gets on their high horse about anything, my point is not, you are not allowed to do what you want. They're going to say, I'm a paying customer, we're allowed to cheer for who we want.
And they're paying through the nose.
Of course you are.
They're paying through the nose.
Absolutely. That is not my point. But just because you can doesn't mean that what you're doing is cool in any way. Because when you complain about something, and yes, I don't agree that this match was booked in the right way, in my personal opinion, and I don't think it was a great match, and all of things you'll complain about. But you started all this before the match started. Cody came out, and all you did was boo Cody, right? Cody Rhodes has given nothing but his absolute 110% for WWE and for the fans for the last couple of years, however long, since he came back. Actually went away and did the work in AEW, then came back and just work. We hear all the stories about him staying behind after house shows to, sign autographs and take pictures and kiss babies and whatever else, for hours after the show. And he does every single thing that's asked of him, radio interviews, promoting the shows. He turns up with a torn pec and still performs and puts on great matches. Great match after great match after great match. And because of this, we were all going, when it looked like WWE weren't going to give it to us for a second year running, we weren't going to get the Cody finish the story because they didn't give it to him on the first year against Roman. No. They weren't going to do it on the second year, and the fans went, no, we want Cody. We want Cody. WWE listened, gave it to us, and then the fans go, right, well, we've got what we want now. Want something different now? Boo! I understand if you want to cheer Cena. He's been here, like, I'm a Cena guy, right? He's been here for the last couple of decades and been an absolute, face of WWE. Cena's brilliant, right? I have no problem with people wanting to cheer Cena, but there is absolutely no reason to boo Cody Rhodes. And the effect that it has is that it makes the atmosphere awkward and strange. The match wasn't great, but it stood no chance. It stood absolutely no chance with the fans what they were doing. For the most part, they were quiet all weekend anyway. Like if there was ever a bigger advertisement to have WrestleMania in the UK or in Paris, it was this. Because that audience over there were quiet throughout the weekend for the most part. Apart from the odd moment like Dom or whatever.
I wouldn't say for the most part.
I thought they were quiet compared to what we've experienced.
They were up and down, but I don't think for the most part.
Okay.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, they weren't a great crowd, right? And then to boo Cody Rhodes and create the atmosphere that they did, what fans need to understand, right? And I know I sort of put this in the WhatsApp group, but I haven't said it on the podcast, is like, I was listening to an old-time wrestler talking about this. They were talking about the whole concept of kayfabe that wrestling came up with. It's different to theatre. Theatre, there's a fourth wall. We sit in the audience and we watch something happening that's on the stage that is separate from us. In wrestling, the crowd play their part in the kayfabe. We're a part of it. So we're presented a storyline and we are given, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, right? And it is our job to play our part in that. If we go there and boo Cody Rhodes in that main event after everything that has happened and after all the work he has put in, the entire story does not make sense. So yes, it wasn't great. It wasn't booked great anyway. But like I say, this started before the match started, right? Of course it's not going to make sense. And you're going to come away feeling like it wasn't great. Oh, it was crap. It wasn't. Of course it was. If you make it that way. Oh, the crowd didn't pop for this. No, but you're the crowd. You can pop for stuff. You can make it look like something is happening, but you decide to put yourself over and feel edgy about it. And also, maybe the reason is you think you're a great booker and you should have the pen, and you've decided you've come up with some really cool idea that Cody Rhodes should be a heel. Oh, well done you. Like, that is a really obvious idea. That is going to happen at some point. But to Triple H's point, and I like I keep saying, this could have been booked better. Let the story play out and let that happen. Just because you've decided you're so entitled that it should happen tonight, that Cody's the heel. I'm like, it turned the whole thing strange and ridiculous because the crowd went into business for themselves and made it awkward.
Okay, I agree with most of that, but my argument to that would be if the crowd aren't acting in the way you want them to me, it says WWE haven't done a good enough job of telling the story. Because you mentioned last year, they listened, like WWE definitely pivoted. They've admitted it. Mm-hmm. They were trying to take Cody's moment away. They thought best for business to put Roman versus Rock. The crowd were like, no. We want Cody. He deserves to be in that main event. So WWE did pivot. But when they pivoted, they then told an incredible story that everyone could get behind, and they did it seamlessly. And so the story was good and the people connected to it and they reacted in the way that the story deserved. Whereas this year, like, you can say it's obvious that Cena's the heel and it's obvious that Cody's the babyface, but Cena, to me, and other people have said this, he feels inauthentic as a heel. He's playing a heel. We don't believe it. And the fact that, and a lot of this is The Rock's fault, the fact that he hasn't turned up means we've been questioning what this whole story is.
Yeah, but
and if we go into the match with that mindset, you're kind of like, well, let's sort of make this up let's make this up ourselves because we're not being told a good enough story.
But going into the match, we thought The Rock was coming. We surely thought The Rock was coming at that point. And we were going nuts after Elimination Chamber at the idea, the story of Cena selling out to
because
The Rock
it was incredible.
Was incredible. Like, we were going nuts. And, you know, the next week that they had that face-off and we were like, that was amazing mic work between the two of them. We've done nothing but praise it. It was a good story to me going in. And okay, it didn't get executed well at the end at all. And we'll talk about that in a minute because there's more to this that I'm furious about. But going into the match with that story and everything that went with it, cheer Cena if you like. But why? For what reason are we booing Cody? For what reason? For what?
Listen,
I think, I get what Kev's saying. 'Cause he's not opposed of people cheering Cena.
No, not at all.
It's about the reaction towards
And
Cody.
Cena said on his promo on Raw, he went, you see, you heartless bastards, this is why. Because you don't even know what you want.
And didn't Cena say to Cody, "You, this is who you're defending"?
Yeah,
this is who you're fighting
is
for.
who you're fighting for. And I felt myself sitting there going, I agree.
Yeah.
You don't. These fans don't deserve anything the way they behaved.
I agree with Kev.
Do you think Vegas was an anomaly?
No,
Because Cody started getting booed on SmackDown. And I think he was rattled by the boos, and I put on Twitter actually that night I really genuinely believe Cody became an all-time great because it was a really important promo because he would have been rattled by those boos, but he saw it through he delivered 110%. To your point, he did magnificent work and actually tore Cena apart. And while I was worried on Friday night or Saturday morning when I was watching it, I was like, I'm a bit worried that Cody's going to get booed a lot. And then when it came to but then after SmackDown finished, I was like, oh no, he saved it. He turned it around. They're going to go into this the right way and Cena's going to be booed. But yeah, it didn't happen on the night.
Unfortunately, it would have happened anyway. If it was it was in Madison Square Garden, if it was it doesn't matter. People have been waiting over 20 plus years to see a Cena heel turn. They've been waiting for this moment. They've got it.
But
so they're going to lap it up. And I agree with you. I agree with Kev that the boos on Cody, I was a bit like, okay, that's a bit strange. But it's wrestling one-on-one, isn't it? There's someone to cheer, there's someone to boo. But I'm going to cheer Cena because I'm seeing who I want.
So therefore, this is all Vince's fault. Because because he never pulled the trigger. And
the Rock too.
And it's too little too late.
It is too late.
Because yes, we have Cena as a heel, but the fans have been clambering for it for so long. Now they're cheering him because they're just like, yay, it's something different.
Yeah.
And the entrance, like to our point of like we said, oh, he should shave his head, he should wear a suit, or he should come out in totally different gear. I know he's still wearing his merch and his cap and his t-shirt and stuff, but his entrance was cool.
Yeah. It was.
You know, and that ultimately probably didn't help. And so it's a combination of factors. I think it's WWE's fault.
And to circle back to what we were saying right at the beginning about the Unreal program, this is my thing, is that we've created a situation now where the fans are not even cheering Cena or booing Cody. What they're cheering for is the writing. Fans are concerned that we're going to cheer the writing that we like, and or if we've had a better idea that we've talked about ourselves, and that's not what's executed, we're going to boo that.
That's true.
We've got to a stage where we're in the business of the opinions and criticisms,
the entertainment of opinions.
Yeah, the entertainment of opinions is a lot more prevalent than the entertainment of the show.
Yeah.
So they're in a state of like, now we've told you to give the title to Cody. Now we want you to turn Cody heel and Cena can be our baby face. And if you're not doing the writing that they're doing, they're booing it. Like they're booing the writing instead of booing the Cody has done nothing wrong in terms of his work, his character, his storyline, anything to deserve a boo. There's no reason to boo him apart from, we want this to happen now in the writing. And that's dangerous.
I'm quite worried about how they booked that ending with Cody as well. The fact that Cody should we just talk about the ending?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. My other point I wanted to make is that it was always, because I remember we even said on the podcast a few weeks ago, bringing Cena in as such a legend. I know, people talk about he's been booed for 20 years and stuff and people hate him, but actually for the last few years, people have loved him. And he's been a superhero who comes back and they really believe in him and, he's a top star of the business. And it would have been a risk on Cody, their poster boy who's going to be around for years and years, is shifting merch and doing great work for WWE right now. It would have been a big risk putting him in there against Cena in his old iteration. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, so it makes perfect sense. Now Cena can be a heel, and it saves Cody a bit. You don't run the risk of him being booed. But I think ultimately the presence, the brand, just John Cena as a name, he's such a big global star. And because because this is his last run, there is going to be a section of the audience that cheer him. And I think...
Which I'm fine with.
But you just don't want Cody being booed.
Why did Cody get booed? If someone can give me an explanation.
Well, it's as simple as this. The people that are cheering for one guy are going to boo for the other.
Yeah,
like it's how it works.
It's true. It's wrestling 101.
It just...
I get your
ruined
point.
it for me. As a Mark fan who just wants to enjoy the product, it ruined it from the start. Now, it went badly afterwards in terms of the booking, ruined it.
So the match itself, I talked about it briefly at the top, but the action I thought was very sluggish.
Yeah.
I saw one person tweet saying, this looks like they're rehearsing. Like, it was slow.
Well, a lot of that is done purposely.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
Because of Cena.
And Cena hitting a double axe handle from the top rope twice.
That's right.
I secretly liked that.
Yeah, me too. I love that.
Like, I don't mind the slower pace. Make everything count. But I'm sorry. Spot calling from Cena again.
Also, that submission move that he does.
The STFU
never looked like he's trying.
I mean, I'm pleased that they've called it the STFU again. Yeah. But it's the work. Like, I remember years ago, 10 years ago, he was on Steve Austin's podcast and he went, cinch that in a bit more, would you?
I hug my daughter tighter than that.
Yeah.
She's 2.
It's a pathetic looking submission move. So the problem is, this match highlighted how far the industry has come in Cena's absence. He doesn't look good in there. So that's one issue. It made Cody look a weaker performer because he had to come down to Cena's level. Skillet, let's talk about the finish.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Scott showed up and and then he puts him on the crossroads, which is great because, you know, he needs to get his receipt back, even though I felt like he should have just punched him straight in the face.
We needed to see the proper receipt.
Yeah, should have got a real receipt, to be honest. What I didn't like was they were fighting over the belt. Cena was going to hit Cody with the belt. They're tugging, it's like a tug of war with the belt. And then Cody gets the belt off Cena and then was tempting to hit him with the belt, but then because he's a babyface, he's like, I'm not going to do this. And then get kicked in the nuts.
He looked like an absolute chump.
What are they doing,
because of,
man?
Yeah, and because of all the distraction of Travis Scott. And John Cena reacted like when Travis Scott's music hit, he reacted like, here comes the cavalry, I'm about to win the world title.
It's so true.
Which obviously we all thought, because The Rock's coming.
Yeah.
But Cena obviously knows The Rock's not coming. He knows it's Travis Scott coming in the story. Why is he looking like that? What the hell is this guy going to do?
And he didn't do anything.
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And his entrance, while they're just sat in the ring, the pair of them, that entrance from Travis Scott was the same length as Randy Orton's match. On his 20th... on his 20th WrestleMania against the TNA World Champion.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Kev. Brilliant.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. It was nonsensical. It was, and listen, I get bringing in a massive star.
100%.
We said it before we started recording. Travis Scott's audience, like, whilst we might not,
I don't know who he is, but he's massive.
Neither do I. Yeah. Absolutely massive, huge numbers, global reach, all that stuff. Totally 100% get it. The crowd popped massively when his music hit because they were like, okay, The Rock's coming out.
Here we go. Yeah.
And to the point, actually, when his music first hit, I was like, oh, that's The Rock. And then I thought, oh no, actually, that's Travis Scott. Yeah. But The Rock will come soon. But Cena's reaction to Travis Scott, Cody's reaction to Travis Scott, he got a receipt in the way that he hit the crossroads,
I guess,
on Travis Scott.
I guess.
But nothing as violent and brutal as what Travis did to him in Toronto?
Yeah.
At Elimination Chamber. And I hated how weak and pathetic and gullible they made Cody look. And the fact that Cody couldn't pull the trigger. And on commentary, Michael Cole said, Cody, are you going to be a good guy or are you going to be a bad guy? And they made a point of saying that. And I do wonder if that's what is potentially going to lead to maybe selling his soul to The Rock.
I think so. Yeah.
Like that,
I think it's all
that would make sense.
Yeah.
But don't undo 3 years of unbelievable work to make Cody the biggest star in the industry, which they've done so magnificently, or Cody has done so magnificently. They've protected this guy, and then they've made him look so weak in front of a rapper that can't wrestle.
Just make it all make sense. As long as I don't care who the star is. Okay, I don't know who Travis Scott is, but he's massive. Use him. Fine. Use him for social media. Again, it's all about social media engagement and whatever. I get that, but make it make sense. If I'm watching Succession and I'm on season 4, whatever the last one is, and it's getting to the final episode, who's going to take over the company? And they've decided that they're going to, let's use someone who I But even if I don't know who that is, let's use someone as an example who I do know who it is. Let's say David Beckham turns up in the final episode of Succession and goes, "It's going to be you. You own the company." Massive engagement on social media. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's got to make sense in the context. This guy turned up once at Elimination Chamber and was sort of really odd, he's smoking sage in the ring.
Well, and
whatever.
And he didn't really know what was going on.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then he sort of punched Cody, and the next time we saw him was in the spot where we thought we were getting The Rock. And he turns up, and he's just this random guy that turns up and affects the biggest part of WrestleMania. It makes no sense.
It was, what is it about WrestleMania endings in Las Vegas?
Not so good, Al. Not so good.
It was very poorly executed. It was a very disappointing ending to an overall good weekend. Like some unbelievable highlights. We've gushed about the matches we loved, but it was a very, in a creative sense, it was a bit of an argument for WrestleMania to go back to one night. Because night 1 was so up and down, and night 2 was up and down. Like, it started off incredibly strong and then fell off a cliff. But ultimately, it was a very, very disappointing ending. Creatively, in-ring, atmosphere-wise. Cena got a big pop when he won.
Fine.
But I think a lot of people were shocked by it, and certainly shocked with how it played out.
With how it went, we all thought that Cena was going to win, and I was on board with it, and I totally get people cheering for him. But the way they booed Cody, the execution of the Travis Scott thing, and then imagine after that final episode where David Beckham turns up on Succession, imagine Kieran Culkin isn't in that final episode for no reason. And we go, wait, where were you? What? You were a major part of that story. Where were you? And he goes on a podcast and goes, and he says, "Oh no, it's just that I'm Home Alone's brother. So I just wanted to make sure everyone watched it. I'm not that arsed."
Yeah.
What?
And I wanted to give the spotlight to the other guys.
I wanted to give the spotlight. Okay, Rock, you wanted to give the spotlight to Cena and Cody. Fine. 1, it didn't stop you last year when everyone was involved in the main event, when the spotlight could have been on Roman and Cody. And I loved it. I loved it last year. You were all involved.
He's talking facts. I'm loving this.
You were all involved, and we all loved it. And if that was genuinely your opinion, you just wanted the spotlight to be on Cena. Talk to me about Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Why was Travis Scott there then?
Yeah.
If the spotlight's just on them too.
My view is Rock was digging his heels in.
Yeah.
And Rock, I think there's some issues between Rock and Triple H or WWE or something.
And they made it work. I think you're right. And I think it worked out for the best, and it was all love. But then now you've got this story.
And I just wonder, in the build-up to WrestleMania, you had these interviews where we were talking about earlier, Triple H getting a bit defensive, saying, just let the stories play out.
Yeah.
We can't always get it right. Did he know how the ending to WrestleMania at that point was going to go? And because I don't believe Triple H was responsible for the ending of that show. I just don't.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
Ultimately, I think he's got to sign it off and go, right, cool, that's what we'll do, and we'll make it work. But it was so weak creatively.
Yeah.
And it was so poorly executed.
And I'm raging right now, but I love WWE, and they're very good at stories, and they will bring it back. It will be amazing again. It's not like I don't hate WWE because of this. It's just for that one moment.
No, fair enough.
Everything that the way the crowd were behaving to the way that the ending of the match, I was like, what is this? And I think maybe the bar's been raised so high because last year was just possibly the best thing I've ever seen in wrestling.
They called the last 5 minutes of the broadcast last year the greatest 5 minutes of wrestling history.
So there's an element of that as well, So I'm just getting raged about that moment. Raw was a great episode, and I'm going to carry on watching and love it.
Well, it's unlike anything else in the world. You talk about Succession, you talk about other forms of entertainment, but wrestling WWE is unlike anything else in the world because that show went off the air, and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do the podcast. Don't want to watch it ever again. And then on Monday, I'm like, can't wait for Raw. Can't wait for Raw tonight.
And Raw delivered, man.
And Raw delivered the best hashtag Raw after Mania in many years. Yes. I would say
absolutely.
And a lot of people saying on social, just let Triple H do what he's good at.
Yeah.
TKO, don't get involved. Don't ask Rock to come back to boost some ticket sales if it's then going to kick off a story that goes nowhere, that ultimately can't be paid off. That's what fans get frustrated at. Yeah. When stories begin that can't be paid off. Yeah. And if Rock knew, maybe he never had any plans to be at Mania. And you were saying earlier, maybe he didn't. I'm a champ!